Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. The Delta variant of the coronavirus identified in the community in Trinidad and Tobago. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 22nd September 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. The Delta variant is in the community of Trinidad and Tobago. That's a signal from the health officials based on epidemiological data from 2 of 3 cases discovered over the weekend. The government of Trinidad and Tobago isn't talking about increased public health restrictions, but it is talking vaccination, as the extent to which Delta is in the population is unknown at this time. Alicia Boucher of TV6 News has more in this report.
While the Delta variant arrived in TNT with the reopening of the country's borders, identified cases were labeled as contained. But that has now changed, as 2 of the 3 cases on Sunday had no recent travel history. Minister of Health Terence D'Alsing has made a pronouncement on what it means for this country.
What we have been alerting the country about for the past couple of months, that is the arrival of the Delta variant within the population. It is now a reality.
The strain, which is 2 times more transmissible than the Alpha, formerly called the B117 or UK variant, is known to increase the chances of hospitalizations and secondary attacks, which are basically a relapse of illness. It replicates faster, and because of high viral loads being attained very early after infection, asymptomatic people can also spread the virus faster. And according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram, it is the viral loads in the samples taken from the 2 community cases where Delta was found that resulted in them being sent for genomic sequencing.
The Trinidad Public Health Lab is looking for persons with a CT value, which is a cycle threshold value when we do the PCR test of 19 and less, and those tests are sent onwards for sequencing. So the 2 other individuals fell into those categories, and that's how we were able to pick them up as Delta variants.
One of the cases was found in the St. George West County, while the other was found in St. George East. Dr. Parasram says the contact tracing investigation is still underway. Meanwhile, Minister D'Alsing says about 520,000 adults out of 1 million eligible to be vaccinated have so far come forward to take a COVID-19 vaccine. That's the concern for health officials, as the ravages of Delta can be seen worldwide, including in neighboring Jamaica.
It is not too late today for persons to make that decision to get vaccinated. We have our sites open, 109 health centers, where you have a choice between the Sinopharm vaccine and the one shot and done. We have our mass vaccination sites. We have several private hospitals. We have tens of private physicians. We are doing pop-ups in malls, car parks, supermarkets. Make that decision now to get vaccinated.
While at present, the 7-day rolling average has plateaued at around 200 cases per day, COVID-19 deaths to date in the country have crossed the 1,400 mark.
And I am hoping, against hope, that the population is not becoming numb to the daily announcements of 4 deaths, 5 deaths, 6 deaths. because the numbers, which are relatively small as opposed to 2015 in those very bad days, it is still 5 or 6 or 7 families that are hurting.
The Ministry of Health says there is an increase in the number of active cases, and this might be in part linked to lower rates of daily hospital discharges.
What is important to note, though, is although we're seeing the number of active cases increasing in the community, we're not seeing it, as yet at least, reflected in the number of persons being hospitalized, which is a very good, at least it's a very good statistic to keep an eye on. So we noted the increase. Again, I think it's multifactorial. It's a little bit too early to say whether it is Delta variant or some other reason for those increases.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Newsroom Guyana reports that child abuse is on the rise in Guyana, with nearly 2,000 cases reported for the first 6 months of this year.
At the end of 2020, there were a total of 3,129 reported cases of child abuse. 1,698 of the reports were about girls, while 1,431 were for boys. Importantly, 2 of those numbers, 127 boys and 688 girls, were sexually abused. For this year, up to the month of June, there have already been 1,918 reported cases of child abuse, according to the Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Wedn. She said this in an address written for the Child Protection Week 2021. Further, the minister said that the reported cases continue to escalate, but acknowledged that the new 914 hotline has led to some increase in the reporting of child abuse. Still, she lamented that many of the cases of child abuse remain unreported, thereby allowing predators and perpetrators to access vulnerable children. In this vein, she stressed that the increased and necessary usage of the internet during the pandemic opens new avenues for abuse, as does the hiatus from schools, as many children may be in closer proximity to their abusers.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Antigua and Barbuda is hosting the highest-ranking European Union official to have touched down in the country. Vice President of the European Commission, Frans Timmermans, engaged in crucial talks on Monday with Prime Minister Gaston Brown and other officials.
Prime Minister Honorable Gaston Brown and the European Commission Vice President Frans Timmermans at a media briefing on the heels of crucial talks. They called the discussions frank and fruitful. Both outlined the importance of the talks ahead of COP26 in Scotland in November.
As perhaps some of the smallest and most vulnerable countries in the world, we need international partners. We have a number of issues affecting us, and we cannot resolve them alone. And having a partner like the European Union, standing in solidarity with us, especially during this difficult period of COVID.
We need to look beyond the pandemic. We need to look at the huge challenges the world was facing, which is the climate crisis, but also an industrial revolution that will leave no country untouched. And in that context, I believe, increasing the awareness of the partnership between the European Union and the Caribbean in its widest possible definition is important.
On climate change, the call was clarion from both. There is an urgent need to address this existential crisis. Prime Minister Brown says there must be decisive action. He urged Vice President Timmermans to play his part in helping to make Barbuda the first island to be powered entirely by green energy.
We have a hybrid system there, and I believe that the solar project operates with batteries maybe for about 14 hours, so we need about 10 more hours of a battery storage. So maybe we can challenge His Excellency to prioritize Barbuda for some funding. It will be a good example of resilience in which Barbuda would have emerged from the aftermath of Hurricane Irma to become the first green island community in the world. So you have an exercise there. A challenge.
Yes, thank you for that challenge, Prime Minister. Thanks a lot.
The visiting EU official said there is a need to address the issue the Prime Minister has long been championing, that of compensation from the world's biggest polluters to the countries most affected by climate change. Meanwhile, I pressed the European Commission Vice President on the matter of access to financing for climate change mitigation and adaptation. Is the European Union willing to remove the per capita income criterion? Do you think that you would want to perhaps put a pledge on the table in terms of when you're looking to push the issue in the realms of Brussels?
Well, I understand that you're pushing me on this, but you're doing a great job as a journalist, but I can't give you a concrete answer on that right now. Our homework, the ambassador.
I will try to come to the rescue a little bit. In the middle of at the onset of the pandemic, whatever funds we could reallocate were reallocated. As you know, and it was mentioned that we have a long bureaucratic system, so it's not possible to shift money that is already committed.
Jamaica's police commissioner has issued an invitation to the Rastafarian community to come and speak with him about concerns that they may have. The disquiet comes among the Rastafarian community over what they have deemed as ongoing discrimination and harassment. More in this TVJ News report with Dwayne Anderson.
Last week, the local Rastafarian leadership called a meeting to demand audience with the authorities, including the police, to discuss policies they feel have led to discrimination of members of the community. And days later, a response has come from the police commissioner, Major General Anthony Anderson.
Don't be concerned that the JCF has a challenge with the community. And if there are any concerns, they can come to me, they can come to our Inspector General, IPROBE. We have many mechanisms that we will engage to allay any concerns or fears that might have arisen out of this.
Members of the Rastafarian community have been particularly upset recently due to a case involving Nzinga King, a Clarendon 19-year-old who alleged that her locks were trimmed while in police custody. The police commissioner said members of the force who have discussed the case with him are outraged and want strong action should an investigation find that the police member acted improperly.
I'm confident that if it occurred, as said, and I say that is still the subject of investigation, that is not consistent with either the policies or position of the force or the majority of its members. And I feel pretty confident in saying that.
But in addition to that case, members of the Rastafarian community contend that they continue to be harassed by police officers for the possession of ganja used for sacramental purposes. While not addressing that matter directly, the police commissioner insisted that the organization he leads does not have a culture that encourages victimization.
Most of us in the force now grew up in a time where Rastafarians were an iconic part of our culture. And so there is no natural response to be anti-Rastafarian. As a matter of fact, most of us would have grown up, friends in school, friends in community, and relationships with persons who are Rastafarians. It's just another religion, and our own indigenous religion.
Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.